and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, sponsored by MotiV8 Training Management. This is a podcast where we talk to drivers and industry experts to help you maximize your performances on and off the track. Let's get started with today's show. Hi crew, and welcome to episode 127 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host Belinda Risley, and today I'm joined by Maree Kirkpatrick. Maree is a dynamic and experienced sales consultant and trainer. She has over 15 years in successful sales and negotiation, providing multi-million-dollar results for multiple corporations. Maree has won numerous awards, including the Sales Mastery Top Gun Award, and has driven corporate success. She has worked with small and large organizations, developing processes and skilled resources that have led to significant and sustainable sales improvements and efficiencies. Maree thrives on growing and learning and is deeply knowledgeable in structuring e-commerce processes for digital sales and marketing success. Hence why we have Maree on today's show. She's going to tell us about how we get started with sales and the importance of having sales strategy. Maree also has a brand new course coming out called Sales Implementation, which is available in today's show notes. So please make sure you do go over and check it out. Other than that, I hope everyone has been staying well and healthy. We're getting to the crazy time of year. Championships are wrapping up. There's new speedway season starting. State titles are happening all around the place. So I hope everybody is enjoying their racing and definitely starting to plan for 2023. Of course, if you do need any assistance or would love to jump onto a free strategy call, again, head over to today's show notes and click on the link for that free call. If you haven't already, would love if you could leave us a review over on your preferred listening platform. If you are enjoying these podcasts, definitely would love to hear if you've implemented anything that you have learned during these podcasts. They are called coaching podcasts, so hopefully you're getting some coaching tips and putting them to good use. Well, let's get started with today's show.
Hi, Maree. Well, welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Belinda. I'm excited to be here today.
And I'm excited to tell your story. Tell us a little bit about you and what do you do?
So my name is Maree, and I am a sales strategist and help businesses or in your area more about how to sell yourself, soft skills when it comes to selling, and how to really get the message across about what you do, why you do it, and why someone would connect with you in that space as well. And I've been doing it for many, many, many years in many different industries. So it's something that I'm really passionate about because I feel like sales can be such a game changer in both life as well as business and income and all that sort of stuff as well. So something I love doing.
Fantastic. And that's why we have you on the show today, so you can share all that knowledge and wisdom with us.
Yeah.
For those that have been following me for a long time, I keep echoing that motorsport is a business. Motorsport is a business. And in order to go from being a hobbyist and wanting to make this into a career, you do need to do some business strategy. And so sales is one of those really important features of that. So for those that don't know, what actually is sales?
So it's a really interesting question, and even thinking about it now, for me, sales is a win-win situation. So it's about how do we start a relationship that normally ends up being a paid relationship, and that's what a lot of people would classify as a sale, like this exchange for money. But for me, it's not necessarily about having someone contribute 100% and the other person just kind of sits back and goes, yeah, cool. For me, it's like, how do you make that a win-win situation? How does, for example, the athlete and the potential sponsor get what they want out of that situation? And so for me, it's technically a sale is when the money is exchanged or once someone comes on board. But for me, sales is when that relationship actually starts. And that can be from the moment that someone interacts with your business or has a conversation with you, or, even just at function sales can start, just sitting around having a bit of a chat. So, sales for me is making sure that it is a win-win situation and it is a beautiful connected relationship where everyone's happy on both sides.
I love it.
Yeah.
And like I say to everyone again, that basically we should be walking billboards and telling everyone our story. We've got a 20-second pitch around why we do what we do, and how people can basically get involved. So I think that's a fantastic alignment to exactly what you're just saying.
Yeah. And I think it's also, being the walking billboard, it's also about letting people in on why you do what you do and what it means, not necessarily for you, but also for them. Like if someone comes on as your sponsor, what are they getting involved in? What are they experiencing? What do they get from working with you? Yes, it may be like a logo on a shirt or, hand over of a check to, get you to travel or some new equipment or whatever it is for that specific sponsorship. But I think it's also about what does it mean long term? What does it do for them? Does it help with their branding? And the people that you're selling to or the businesses potentially that you're selling to are still human. So we still have that emotion and that connection, and we buy and connect with people that we like. So how do we get people to understand more about you and why you're passionate about, your sport? It's huge.
Yeah, and I think it's been tough, obviously, with COVID the last 2 years that we're having to communicate, like you said, online. So it's easy to hide, or it's easy to have filters, or it's easy basically to take that human element out of connecting with this. Have you got any tips now about getting back out there in society and making that human connection?
Yeah, so great question. I think it's, for some people, it's hard. Like, let's be honest, right? Like I'm a complete introvert, so people sometimes scare me a little bit. And I also
and a lot of drivers are introverts as well.
Yeah, but
because
there's
they
also
just put their helmet on and then they can go around. They don't have to talk to anybody, and they just get there and do it. So motorsport is very much an introvert stuff. So yes, asking, and that's why it's such a big experience for these athletes to go out there and get sponsorship and talk about themselves when they haven't had any experience or got any skill sets to actually go and do that to start off with.
Yeah, like so from an intro, like I get it, right? I'm the introvert as well. I also understand that there are times when I need to turn on that extroverted side of me as well. And it's not about it being salesy. It's about just showing up who I am and why I'm me, like what makes me, what makes me unique, what makes me stand out, why people would want to connect with me, be friends with me, come on board from a business point of view as well. And so if I was to give you a few tips, it would be to understand what makes you different, like what makes you you. And if you don't know the answers to that, go and ask some friends or family or people that are supportive and really understand you and find out what they love about you. I think another tip would be to just pretend like no one's watching. Because I know from especially social media point of view, you think, oh my goodness, everyone's going to see me. What if I stuff this up? What if, I don't perform well and things like that? But at the end of the day, we connect with humans and we want to see the good and the bad, the pretty and the ugly side of it. So I think the more you can share of your day-to-day and just life in general can be really a lot more connecting than what people realize. And it makes it a lot easier for you to create the content as well. Gives people that behind-the-scenes view.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges people do come and see me is about social media content creation. But I'm like, it's actually one of the easiest things because we're living a lot of people's dreams racing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people aspire to be race car drivers and aspire to be motorsport athletes. And it's just like, well, basically share that day-to-day stuff. Like, sure, you don't have to share your breakfast every morning, but, once a week you can say, this is what a breakfast of an athlete looks like. Excuse me. But definitely behind that stuff, as you said, it's building that brand, it's building that image and that brand awareness of who they are. And as we both know, people invest in people.
And I think it's also that for some people, they may not know exactly what happens behind the scenes when it comes to motorsports, right? Like, I don't know a lot about it, but I've had one of my clients being Bridgestone, and when they came on board, one of my disclaimers was, I don't know a lot about cars and tires and all that sort of stuff, But once I kind of could see the back end and what they do and how they do it and why they do it and get that education piece, there's so much more that they assume that people know, but we don't know as just like normal people. And so share that sort of stuff, whatever like the day in and day out sort of stuff people really enjoy. That's why things like Instagram stories have taken off. Snapchat was huge as well. Like people just being normal or showing a little bit about themselves. Yeah, huge.
And now there's that new app called Be Real. Have you heard about Be Real? So so tomorrow night I'm actually doing a social media masterclass around all the latest trends and updates, and including Be Real and how potentially there's going to be opportunity for product marketing and to go into that going forward too.
And even if you're not sure exactly what to show, like, or what to create your content around, I just tend to say to my clients, like, sit down and jot down 10 things that you do day in and day out, or 10 things that you constantly tell people, and what you think is normal or common sense or the basics. Some people will be absolutely wowed about. Like I remember I heard, I think it was Lewis Hamilton talking about the amount of neck training that they do because of the G-force that they go through. I didn't ever think about that. Like that would be huge. And the fact that he loses like 4 kilos a race. Yeah. I don't know about that. But for him, that's just like, oh yeah, it just happens. But unless you talk about it, like
no one
normal.
knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so there are a lot of myths, I guess, around sales and sales training, per se. And we're talking about being old school. So we've just gone over some new strategies of sales. But what are some myths around about sales? It's like that word, isn't it? Like it's everyone like cringes when you think the word sales.
I know,
the word for it.
Even just being the sales strategist that I am, even saying to people, like when people say, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a salesperson, or I teach people how to sell. They go, oh, one of those people. And I'm it's like, I'm just not that sort of person. For me, it's like, how do we develop really great relationships? How do we keep connected with people? And not just when we need something from them. Like, don't just approach people when you're asking for a check or you're asking for help or anything like that. Like, nurture them, talk to them, connect with them, see how you can help them, see what you can do to really involve them in your business or your sport, because even as an athlete, you are running a business, whether you choose to or not. If you choose to be competitive at what you do, you need cash coming in, which means that you need, from a sales perspective, you need money, right? So how do you make sales without it being salesy, without it being like everyone that you talk to, you've got to constantly pitch to? How do you just start those conversations and the relationships and things like that, so that it doesn't be that old school pushy hustle salesy type, And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for everyone. Like I went to a networking event the other day and there was this guy literally handing out business cards. Let me know if you need an accountant. Let me know if you need... Dude, you don't even know me. You don't even know if I have a business. You don't even know if I'm running an accounting firm. Like, what does that look like, But if he just said, hey, Maree, like, what do you do? Tell me about yourself, it would have been a completely different relationship. So it doesn't have to be hustle and bustle. It doesn't have to be salesy. I think the less salesy you can be, the better for everyone. And just having a structure and guide around you to understand what you need to do to take people from that connection point through to the conversion point and to actually get them on board and working with you. Just follow those simple steps without it being hustle and bustle and icky.
What's the old saying? You can't get married without dating first.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you can, it's just kind of weird and awkward, right? Like, no one really wants that.
I mean, look at the successful, unsuccessful of our maths.
Right. Yeah. Straight into marriage. No thanks. Doesn't work out that well.
No. Yeah. It's kind of all files over the next couple of weeks, doesn't it? And you see how they all those relationships break down because there's no core, there's no fundamentals about getting started with building that relationship together.
Yep.
But you did mention a process and a plan. Yes, so we've established now that when we just meet somebody, just tell them about our why and a little bit what we do, and if they want to follow our journey, how they can follow the journey. What is the next step after that?
See, I would even take it back one step further, and I think you need to ask more about them than you.
That's right.
So when I first started learning to sell, one of my mentors said to me, be interested before you're interesting. And so it was like, understand who people are first before you start talking about you and what you do and all that sort of stuff, because that will allow you to build better rapport. It'll allow you to understand whether they are the right person that you need to be talking to or pitching to as such. So start that sort of conversation more about them and why they're, like, if you've met at a mutual kind of space that involves motorsport or something along those lines, have a chat to them. How did you get involved? How long have you been involved? What do you like? What do you do? All that sort of stuff kind of builds that rapport, but it'll also give you information on what they are looking for or how you can potentially sell to them, so that it's not just about you. It's also incorporates them as well. Does that answer your question? I can't remember what was the next step. That was the question. My bad.
We've had that discussion and we're like, really well here. And like, they seem interested in the journey.
So the next steps I would suggest would be to, once you've kind of figured out that they are interested or that there is potential to be potential to kind of work together, I would probably organize a time to sit down and have a proper conversation about it, like a chat, and to figure out what it is that you can provide for them. And I think in this kind of industry, you need to stand out a little bit, right? Like, you're asking people to hand over money, but it needs to be more than just a logo on a shirt or a sticker on a car. And so what would that include for them? Maybe you need to have like a little package that you put together, or maybe there's ways that you can help them by promoting some of their businesses or talking about their products and services. Maybe that's online, or to help with any other collaborations that you can help kind of knit their business into some of their target markets as well. I would sit down and I'd have a conversation with them and understand what you can provide, and then what it is that you're looking for from them. So, and get really clear on what that looks like and why they would choose to invest in you. You as the person, you as the sport, you as the vehicle, whatever that is, why would they choose you? And that's probably for a lot of people the hardest part.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to get on the track and race.
That's right.
Which is great, but you can't get on the track without having that sponsorship. So what can you do to make that a win-win situation for both parties? And then if they decide to come on board, have a beautiful onboarding process, love the absolute bejeebers out of them. And that doesn't have to equal a whole heap of time or money or energy or anything. A lot of that sort of stuff can be automated or kind of natural, like a natural process. If they then decide not to come on board, don't just be like, okay, cool, they didn't give me the paycheck, so let's go and talk to person B, C, D, E, F. Keep nurturing that person. Maybe they need a little bit more time to understand more about what you do. Nurture them, follow them up, talk to them, keep that relationship open and happening. Keep dating them. Basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I actually do have a PDF available, which I'll put in today's show link. So I've got over 50 benefits you can offer a sponsor other than a sticker.
Mm-hmm.
So that link will be in the show notes. And also last week on the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, episode 125, we actually did a whole segment around newsletters and around about the importance of a newsletter and how to set one up. So what Maree was just saying around about nurturing them organically, automations, all of those words and all of what that means is in last week's episode. So go check that out, episode 125. But I'll also put the link for that as well.
Beautiful. And that, like, in that nurturing process, it can also be, you can nurture people on social media. You can nurture people on all those sort of platforms and things like that as well. Some of the biggest brands aren't out there sending you newsletters every week, but they're showing you behind the scenes and they're connecting with you and they're showing you what's been happening, what they're working on, their day-to-day type stuff. So
yeah, I should say, when I said a newsletter, that was just the title of it. So it does include doing vlogs, also doing podcasting, and also using social media marketing as a tool as well. I just named it newsletter, but it's around
perfect.
And again, like Maree was saying about being unique, the whole process was about find what resonates with you. If you love being an extrovert and you love being on camera, then you can do vlogs, which is a video type vlog. If you love doing podcasts and interviewing people, then your newsletter can be your podcast. It's just a way of nurturing your market, the best way that suits you, that you feel comfortable about getting your content out there.
Absolutely. And in your follow-up process, show people how they can connect with you. Get them to come and join you on Facebook or social media or, into your newsletter or anything along those lines, if that's kind of the way you want to do it, or show them your YouTube channel or, and it doesn't have to be these long-winded type things. It can just be small snippets. Sometimes you don't even have to be in the videos if you're the introvert. And you're like, the motorsports industry is really fun and exciting, and there's always lots happening. There's so many opportunities to create content. It's just taking those small moments of time and sharing them.
Yeah, and in next week's episode, we're actually going to be covering membership sites and things that goes within a membership site. But the basis of that is having a group. So some sort of either a Facebook group, Instagram now starting to have groups as well. LinkedIn, you can have your own groups as well. And so it's a matter of like getting that kind of warm audience all into one space that you can continue to nurture them as well. So stay tuned to the membership sites and setting one of those up. Now, about all of this process, it could be a bit overwhelming to everyone getting started. Can you recommend any resources, free or paid, that people can look into further about starting and setting up their own sales process? Or is this a service that you can assist with? Or?
Yeah, so I've put together a few things over the years to help people learn how to sell. So I've got a program that people can purchase called ABCs of Selling, and it basically takes you through the fundamentals of selling. So how to have those conversations, how to follow people up, how to nurture people, and what sort of questions you can ask, how you can engage people, all that sort of stuff. So there's the ABCs of Selling, which is just at mareekirkpatrick.com/ABCs. I've got a couple of free documents that I can get Belinda to attach for you, ways that you can increase that conversion. So maybe if you need, 5 or 10 sponsors, maybe you don't need to be having 300 conversations. Maybe your conversion rate is that good, or the conversations you are having flow so well that people do want to come on board with you. But if it's not, I've also got how you can actually increase your conversions and things that you can do to kind of make that easier as well. Sales doesn't have to be hard. It's just a skill, kind of like driving a car. You've just got to learn how to do it. And once you learn it, it becomes second nature.
Yeah, and as Maree keeps saying, it's critical in motorsports to actually have this skill set. Exactly, perfect example about being able to drive the vehicle. You actually do need to always be selling, unfortunately, and it can be soft selling. It doesn't need to be a hard sell. Another thing that we always encourage, Maree, is making sure that the athletes know their expenses. So knowing their expenses allows them to know who to go and seek sponsorship for. So they're not having to go to 300 people. So we're saying one of our processes is to work out your financials for the upcoming year, if not over the next 3 to 5 years, break that down and then see what sponsors you can target, because I'm against having a gold, silver and bronze package. I think you market yourself out of contention with sponsors because they might go, oh, that's too cheap or that's too little. So in other words, that when you're seeking sponsorship, that you're specifically asking them for a specific amount that we can show what is actually going towards. So for example, we might be, I'm seeking $5,000 just for entry fee, and therefore they become the entry sponsors, and then the sponsor knows what their investment is going towards, as opposed to, hey, here's $5,000, I don't know what you're going to do with it. So
yeah, absolutely.
have to pinpoint it. So I feel like knowing your expenses is going to help with that sales process a lot easier, make it a lot smoother, because you know specifically what exactly you're asking them for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing from like a sales perspective, sales isn't just always about getting money from people. It can also be things like getting onto teams or selling yourself to into jobs or things like that as well. Like it's not necessarily just about it's like kind of like job interviews. That's a form of sales, right?
Yeah.
So it's creating those relationships and understanding the best way to get yourself across to people. I think it's really important.
Excuse me. I was going to bring up my biggest on social media when I see people going, hey, I'm racing Bathurst, which is in 3 weeks. If you're interested in coming on board, contact me now. Type sponsorship, which I guess is the same example that you just gave of the accountant walking around handing out business cards. It's quite cold. Obviously, there is a lot that goes within a sales process and that nurturing process as well. So even if someone wants to come on board right now and the event's 3 weeks away, the ability to actually make a great sale or to make a great marketing campaign with that business partner or with that sponsor is going to be quite limited, because you're really prepping to go racing at this time, especially at Bathurst, let alone being able to try and nurture them, because if they come on board right now, they're going to be wanting all of your attention to get corporate hospitality, to get race tickets, to get your name on the merchandise. Like, it's a big process. So I know that some of these guys do love cold calling, and some of them, that strategy has worked for them. What's your opinion about that approach and also with cold calling?
So I think cold calling can work for some opportunities, but I think there's also cold calling as in pick up the phone and talk to people and be like, hey, I need help type thing, or hi, I want to sell you something. And that sometimes can be really uncomfortable for both people, right? So like the person that's got to pick up the phone and do the cold calling, and then the other person that's like, I've got 50 billion things going on. Like, what do you want from me? And when people say cold calling, a lot of the time they think of like the Telstras or the people that are like, I'm here to help you save money on your phone plan. You're like, what? See you later. But I think in this sort of opportunity, cold calling doesn't necessarily have to be picking up the phone and randomly touching base with someone that's the first time they've ever heard about you. Cold calling these days for me can look like reaching out to people on social media. It can be engaging with them through their website. It can be talking to them at events and things like that as well. So I think cold calling can absolutely work. I think you just need to have the right strategy behind it. And I think it's understanding how you engage people into that conversation and start that relationship. So, I'm kind of not totally against cold calling, but I'm also not 100% that should be your only strategy, because I think it can be really uncomfortable if it's not done the right way.
Awesome. And we previously just did a podcast with a LinkedIn specialist, and she gave some great tips about that. So I'll also put in today's show notes that link to the LinkedIn one, which she does say exactly what you're saying around cold calling can work on social media, but having that DM, but then it's that nurturing of like, how do you contact them, being unique, so do a voice message as opposed to just texting them. And if they connect, don't just go in for the cold sale, ask questions about them. So it would be a great tip if you haven't already listened to that LinkedIn podcast as well.
And remember to be interested first. Like, don't just go in asking straight in for what you want. Build that relationship first and engage them. Yeah.
Awesome. Again, though, it keeps coming back to planning. So we've got our plan. What else do we need to go put into our plan? And again, in your course at ABCs, does establishing a sales plan or process, is that covered in that?
It is. It absolutely is. And we also go through what I call call guides, right? So I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can tell when someone's using a script and, someone picks up the phone and you go, hi, how are you? And they go, good, thank you for asking. You're like, yep, you're on a script. And it's so easy to read. Like, you just feel it. Like, there's no love in it whatsoever. No. So for me, it's like, put together a cool guide. So, you may have 5 or 6 or 7 things that you need to tick off in that conversation. So one of them may be engagement, like asking those questions, kind of getting clear on, what it is that you have in common and how you can kind of grow that relationship. And then moving into, what are they looking for? Like if they're a business, what are they wanting? What's important to them when they look at investing in someone? And I think for a lot of sponsors, when it comes to that, they don't want to feel like they've just got to hand over money for nothing because someone's asking them. They want to see the value in it. They want to see what they're getting. What's the bang for their buck? Yeah. And so when you put together guides like that, it makes it really easy because it still allows you to be you, but it also gives you a really good sales structure so that you are ticking off those boxes that will lead to a higher opportunity for people to come on board and work with you.
Awesome. So we're working, we've got our plans, but in our conversations with these potential sponsors, we've established if they haven't said yes straight away, maybe it's not now, we're going to put them onto our nurturing system. If they say yes and they're happy to come on board to be our brand new sponsor, what do you recommend is the next step? We know not just to take the check and run.
Yes.
So, if you've got any other strategies or tips they can implement to keep this person on board, because ideally, within 12 months' time when that sponsorship agreement comes up, not only do we want to show return on investment, but we want to potentially ask for more money and or extend that relationship. So maybe they've just come on board initially as a product or a service-based sponsor. And maybe then you've worked with them over the 12 months. And when you go to have that sponsorship agreement renewal meeting, you can show cause of everything that you've obtained for them during the last 12 months. And then look for that, now you want to ask for that next step. Hey, how about we look at over the next 3 to 5 years coming on board?
Absolutely. And that's what I mean, like at the start when we spoke about sales, like what is a sale? A sale can literally be life-changing. Like I know that sounds a bit like far-fetched and a bit woo or whatever, but it literally can be, if you do it well, it can change the whole aspect of things. So if you get someone to come on board and if you engage them properly and understand what it is that they want and you deliver on what it is that they want, when that renewal comes up 12 months later, it's like we want it to be an automatic hell yeah, I'm still in. Yeah. Like, why did you even think that I wouldn't be in? And so if you can keep them in mind of like, cool, they've come on board as, a product or a service sponsorship. What is it that they need from me? Like, what can I do to keep that relationship nurtured? Maybe it's just sending them random photos. Maybe it's sharing stuff from their, it doesn't have to be hard. It just needs to be making sure that they're getting what they need as well as what you need. Because if it's a one-way street, it's really freaking hard to resell that. And keep nurturing them, look after them. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
and that's why I also really encourage everyone to have a sponsorship agreement with your sponsors. So those key objectives are actually laid out there. So what the key performance indicators are for both people, not just for the athlete, but also for those sponsoring. So the expectations for both people are there. It's in writing. And then again, it's easy to have that conversation 12 months down the track when you need to maybe now ask for some financials or maybe to ask for more products and services, but it's part of that relationship building.
And if you engage people the right way, you'll kind of, like, if you even ask the question, like, what's important to you, like, and understand more about them. If they like certain events or anything like that, how can you kind of go that little bit step further and create that wow experience to say, hey, I know that you like this because I understand a little bit more about you. Here's a little something that maybe we didn't even agree on. Maybe it wasn't even in the complete agreement, like the political kind of legality side of it. Maybe it's just as a, hey, like, I know you're human and this is the sort of thing that you like. Like for some of my clients, they talk about having some of the best ideas in the shower. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, go and find them some shower notes. Yeah. Like a notepad that works in the shower.
Yes,
it's just one of those things of like, I know how you work. Like I understand you And so when we keep working together, that relationship is really solid. And so it's like, cool, you need something? Yeah, absolutely. What do you need? How do we make it work for the next 3 years, 5 years, long-term sponsorship?
Yeah. So again, we're continuing to always research and always know about who our partners, our sponsors, who we're working with, and what makes sense.
Yeah, target people that you want to engage with. Target with brands or products and services that you enjoy and that you love, or that you feel like you could really help them and benefit them as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Maree. You've given us so many tips. Is there any last final words of guidance you would like to share with us around about sales?
I think it's more, look at it as, as I said before, relationship point of view, see how you can make an impact on someone, a business, as well as an income. It doesn't just have to be, constantly asking for that money, and go out and have fun with it. Like, sales can be really sexy when you start to enjoy it, and create those relationships, so that if you make a sale once and you keep looking after that person, you don't have to keep selling. People come to you and want to work with you. Yeah.
That's right. So again, that nurturing, having those agreements, so it's easy to have those meetings, so you're not having to continue to make new sales. And one of the things that we previously covered on the podcast, and I'll find that one, I think it was the 10 things that you can do now to get sponsorship, was around having networking events and nights, and again, those kind of events that resonates with your sponsors, not so much what resonates with you. Like, so it could be a golfing event, it could be a high tea, but finding and around about how you can network more successfully and trying to leverage off your sponsors. So we covered that over in the Winning Sponsorship course as well.
Awesome.
But we're going to have all of this information in our upcoming Motorsport is a Business course that we're going to be launching towards the end of December. But in the meantime, I highly recommend that you go and check out Maree's course, ABCs of Selling. Of course, her links will be in today's show notes and any other resources that she'll send through for us. So again, Maree, thanks very much for joining us. How can people get in contact with you or follow your journey?
So you can find me on Instagram at Maree Kirkpatrick. Yeah, that's it. I was going to say .com. No, there's nothing there. Or you can find me on my website, mareekirkpatrick.com, or find me on Facebook, which is Maree Kirkpatrick Consulting. So, and I do lots of different tips and advice and, quick little segments on how you can do things differently and sell easily, and some tips and tricks and stuff like that too. So anything I can do to help people enjoy sales a lot more is my goal.
Fantastic. Thank you. Well, I think we all need it, because we can never have enough sales. We can never have enough sponsors. Maybe, but we always are needing that skill set. So thank you very much for your time and everything you shared with us today. Again, guys, highly recommend that you race over and check out Maree's stuff. All of her links will be in today's show notes, and please get in contact with her, or at least follow her and get some freebies.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Maree.
Thanks, Belinda.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at MotiV8Training.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out, and you'll go into a monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at MotiV8Training.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at MotiV8T. Until next time, take care.